Hello, everybody, and welcome. Another episode of Right Here, Right Now, live Buffalo football talk presented by Forefathers Organics. I'm your host, Alex Brasky, alongside my co-host, Ajay Cybulski, here for the Batavia Daily and Livingston County News. Each week, we'll discuss Buffalo's favorite football team, along with all the comings and goings from Orchard Park, and in this case, once again, in Rochester at Bill's training camp at St. John Fisher University. And this episode, as always, is presented by Forefathers Organics in Dansville. Let's hear a quick word from Forefathers.
Unlock the power of nature with Forefathers Organics, your premium CBD store. We offer the highest quality CBD and hemp products to liberate your mind, body, and soul, helping you live happy and free. Our mission is driven by excellence and transparency, using cutting-edge scientific methods to combat stress and target issues at their source. From potent ingestible CBD to soothing topicals, all our products are USDA. All natural wellness from farm to table. Visit forefathersorganics.com for more information.
All right, once again, thanks to Forefathers for sponsoring the pod. As always, AJ, it's nice to have you back after a day off. How'd you enjoy your day off on Sunday? We had Joe in on the pod, Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He gave us great perspective as he's now on the grounds here at St. John Fisher University. How'd you enjoy your day off? What'd you do? And are you happy to be back on the grind today at the Batavia Daily News?
Absolutely. Excited to be back. Looking forward to it. Another day at Bills camp. Pads are on today, so that's exciting. Just enjoyed some golf and played a basketball game. So I finally surpassed the 10-point mark in my rec league game. I had 14.
You've won by 30. You had been struggling.
I have been struggling. So I was coming off 0 points. I had 14 last week, so it finally felt good to put the ball in the bucket. And golfing is always a good time. I never do too great, but it's just a good, nice, relaxing time. So yeah, enjoyed it, but excited to be back and ready to talk some Bills training camp.
This was AJ. This was AJ on Sunday.
The legacy game, my legacy game.
But yeah, AJ already mentioned it. The Pads came on today, day 5 at St. John Fisher, and the tempers flared a little bit at Bills training camp. There were a number of minor scuffles throughout the morning practice. The most notable pitted offensive lineman Alex Anderson against defensive tackle Branson Dean. Really created a vast array of players who came over and tried to break it up. It looked like a brawl for a moment. Didn't really get very physical, but had all the makings of a brawl with all the players surrounding the two in the middle. It was quickly broken up by several teammates, so just a minor scuffle there. And then another dust-up occurred between wide receiver Mac Hollins and cornerback Kaiir Elam. Those two got tangled up near the sideline, and then Hollins threw the ball at Elam, which kind of caused a brief skirmish between the two. But once again, teammates doing a nice job rushing in to break things up. Elam had another nice day on day 5 at training camp. He had an interception during one-on-one drills, some sticky defense during 11-on-11 work. The interception came when he ripped a ball away from Justin Shorter. I think it was his 3rd interception of training camp, and he also had a couple during the offseason training program. So just getting his hands on footballs throughout this offseason and preseason is Kaiir Elam, really making a push for a contributing role this year. I think he's pretty much locked that up at this point. It's just a matter of how much we'll see him on the field and whether or not he'll be able to challenge either Rousseau Douglas or Christian Benford potentially for a starting role. I don't see that happening, but he certainly is putting his talents on display throughout training camp.
Yeah, obviously excited to see the kind of tension rise here. First day of pads, the weather, super hot day. So Ed Oliver spoke about that. Another reason is maybe why the tensions were a little bit higher. But overall, good to see some scuffles. It's just football at the end of the day. I know you sat down with Dwayne Carter post practice, and he talked about just it being a little bit just post football and stuff like that. So good to see that. And then with Elam just continuing to make splash plays and being at the right spot and taking advantage of the opportunities. Several interceptions throughout offseason programs and now at training camp. So he continues to make splash plays, and hopefully he can continue that progress toward the season. But again, pads on. Football's, I keep saying football's back with every kind of new phase of this, but with the pads on, you like you said, you hear the pads kind of click and the tackles becoming a little more physical across the board. You can truly really tell to see where these guys kind of break away, and if they're able to kind of secure a final 53-man roster spot. So good start for the Bills today.
Yeah, I was listening to the guys on Sports Talk Saturday on WGR over the weekend, and they were talking about how there's so many different days that you say football is back. The off-season training program starts. Football is back.
Yeah.
Training camp starts. Football is back. The pads come on. Football is back. What are some other ones?
Preseason, NFL draft, it's regular season week 1. Sometimes people even say, like, if a player is holding out of a contract in like March, like, oh, football's back, like this guy's already ticked off about a contract in March. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of football is back kind of because it's the number one sport in the country, man. Everyone loves it and everyone's looking forward to it. The off season's crazy, rigorous. The draft coverage is now crazier than it's ever been. So it's basically like it's kind of an all year thing for the most part with a couple down months. So yeah.
And I spoke with Kaiir Elam also. You said I sat down with Dwayne Carter after practice. I wish I would have sat down with him. I had to stand up with him, and it's like looking up at a sequoia with my size. I'm 5'8" on a good day. Dwayne Carter, a towering human being compared to me. But I also talked with Kaiir Elam. He was speaking with Hall of Famer Mike Catalana of Buffalo Plus, and just said that he's embracing the competition at cornerback. And about his playmaking ability, says he just rides his confidence and his technique, and that's allowed him to get his hands on footballs throughout the offseason and preseason. A question here from John Robert concerning Ty Johnson, one of the players whose status was updated here today by Sean McDermott. Several players did have their status updated by Sean McDermott, but Ty Johnson was a player who went out during practice, went down, was tended to by trainers, later left the practice field. He did not return, so we'll keep an eye on his status as we go. That gave way to Ray Davis and Darrington Evans, both of whom had a strong performance here today. Darrington Evans with a 70-yard touchdown up the middle. He's really shined at moments throughout training camp. He's been impressive, while Ray Davis showed great patience. Daquan Jones burst into the backfield, nice penetration, seemed to have Davis under tackle, but the rookie was able to escape and work his way to some good yardage. So some good moments for the second and third, potentially the third and fourth running backs, with the team's second running back held out after that injury. James Cook did return to practice after missing yesterday's practice. So a bit of shuffling today at the running back position, and I liked what I saw from Darrington Evans along with Ray Davis.
Yeah, Darrington Evans, I thought, also had a good. I know he was signed later in the preseason last year, but when he shined, I think in the last week of the preseason, where he got kind of an opportunity just for numbers, and a lot of teams do that. They'll give opportunity to these lower on depth chart players if they need to fill a spot or someone goes down or they don't want to play, like a Ray Davis or James Cook in the final game. They'll go and sign a running back that wants to just put the pads on and play and fight for anyone to catch his eye. All it takes is one person, to change kind of the trajectory of a career. So Darrington Evans has done I think a stellar job with that. I think he offers return versatility. So I think there's also an avenue for in that respect. Can he actually maybe make some noise in that noise? But I don't know how much he's done with the return unit, if any, during training camp. But
he has been out there returning a little bit. It's been Andy Isabella, Daquan Hardy, and KJ Hamler a lot of the time, but Darrington Evans has been out there a bit.
Yeah, so he offers that versatility, and then like guys like Frank Gore Jr. can they kind of churn something out? So it's an opportunity for these guys. Depending how long Ty Johnson's out, could that create opportunity for Darrington Evans if he balls out during training camp or throughout the rest of this training camp session? We'll see. But it's kind of to be determined. But not obviously not great to hear about Ty Johnson going down today. Injuries stink, and I think he's put together a solid camp so far from what I've seen. Nothing negative as per se. And again, they're doing a lot of rotation there, so there's a lot of opportunity for him to kind of do something with it. So all in all, just looking forward to what Darrington Evans can offer, depending on how Ty Johnson, how long he's out. But overall, hope he's back to the field soon, and I think he's gonna have a minor role and maybe make an impact this year for the Bills offense.
Yeah, and there were a few other injuries to report on Monday. Sean McDermott updated us before practice. Wide receiver Chase Claypool suffering a toe injury yesterday. He didn't return after sustaining that injury, and he is considered day-to-day per McDermott, while safety Mike Edwards dealing with a hamstring injury. He is week-to-week, and that led to Cole Bishop being reinserted with the first-team defense in that safety rotation. More on that in a bit. Also, offensive lineman Mike Edwards in the concussion protocol. All three were in T-shirts on the sideline during the session. There were also several defensive players that were held out with veteran rest days, including Matt Milano, Von Miller, and Taron Johnson. I think that's just a matter of, you've seen those guys for 4 straight days in the heat out here at St. John Fisher. And in the first day of pads, tempers are going to be flaring. There's going to be some extra physicality. Guys have been waiting to get the pads on all off season. You don't want some veterans out there that don't necessarily need the banging around to get themselves ready. You don't want them to sustain an injury while a player is going giving a little extra gusto during practice. So I think it's smart for the Bills, maybe looking ahead, keeping those guys out, and Matt Milano continuing his progress after 4 straight days of no pads, maybe giving him some time to recuperate himself before he gets out there with full contact. So you didn't see Milano, you didn't see Miller, you didn't see Johnson, all of those guys out there in T-shirts as well. We mentioned Ty Johnson, and that is about it for the injury updates. And we talked about the safety rotation with Mike Edwards held out of practice, Cole Bishop back in there with the first team defense. It's him and Damar Hamlin at this point, with Edwards out week to week. He's been out most of the offseason training program and training camp, just appearing not very often at all. So Bishop maybe weeding his way in here, as it didn't seem like he was going to have a chance to pull off a starting role, but all it takes is one injury to give somebody an opportunity, and we'll see if the rookie can take advantage going up against what it seems to be is Damar Hamlin for that starting job now.
Yeah, I would. I should have stuck with my gut when I spoke with Bishop, because Bishop, I said he probably could start sooner rather than later. Then Hamlin started the first day. I'm like, oh man, like if Hamlin's getting started the first day, I don't really see how a rookie could really get a chance over a veteran that's been in the system. But I'm going to go back to it. I really do think, especially with the Mike Edwards injury, and he's been banged up all offseason. So not only has he missed opportunity and reps during this training camp now, but going back to the offseason program, where while Bishop's been there the majority of the time, I think he's flashed at times. I think he's shown what kind of he can do at every level of the defense. He can get to the quarterback. He's good in coverage. So you have a versatile piece like that. And a safety is a complicated position, and I think the Bills ask a lot out of them. But to be a good safety, it really comes down to athleticism, understanding the defense, and being able to be sound in coverage and making the right reads and when to jump routes, and so you don't get beat over the top. I think Bishop, coming out of school, he could do everything. So if they're fine tuning him to one spot, well, I'm probably assuming he'll be the strong safety, and Rapp would be the free safety. Poyer was the strong safety, and Bishop's kind of more like a Jordan Poyer and Taylor Rapp. Although he can tackle really well, I think he's maybe more comfortable at the Micah Hyde spot, where Micah Hyde was last year. So again, I think it's really good to see Cole Bishop continue to get these opportunities. They're going back to him. They're not going away from him. It's not like Damar Hamlin got all the reps today. So you're looking at a guy that, again, he's coming off a great season at Utah, and I think that will just continue to grow. And I really do think, man, I think this guy is a starting caliber player in this league in 2024 for the Buffalo Bills defense.
And John Robert, another good question here. If Mike Edwards can't play come week 1 or during the preseason, who moves up into maybe that safety rotation? I think you look at Cam Lewis, who's got that versatility. We've seen him out there a few snaps during training camp at safety, primarily working at cornerback, but we'll see what happens if Edwards is to miss extended time. Before we get to more defensive talk, we'll quickly touch on the offense. Not as hot of a day for the Bills offensively as we saw during day 4. It was an electric performance from Josh Allen and company on Sunday. There was still plenty of highlight reel moments on Monday, but I wouldn't say as pillar to post dominance from the Bills offense throughout the day. They worked the running game a lot with the pads coming on for the first day, giving those offensive defensive linemen a chance to mix things up in the trenches, But One of the top catches came from Keon Coleman along the sideline. Allen really put it in a good spot where only Coleman could get it, lofted it over his shoulder. Coleman had to juggle it, but once again came away with the catch, did a somersault afterward. He just continues to catch everything thrown his way. And not only is he building that rapport with Josh Allen, I think even more important, he's building that trust with Josh Allen. And I'm not saying he's a better receiver than Stefon Diggs, and he has a long way to go before we even start discussing him in that realm, but maybe his skill set fits Josh Allen a little bit better than Diggs did, and we saw how successful Diggs was in this system. And what I mean by that is Diggs was a tactician. He had a great route running ability, used that ability to get open, run free downfield, and come away with those really uncontested catches by using that route running ability to create space between him and the defender. Whereas Keon Coleman, maybe that's not his strong suit, but what he's showing throughout training camp is one of his strong suits is his catch radius. He comes down with everything. He's got sticky hands, and he is finding a way to get open, and Josh Allen's putting it on the money for him time after time.
Yeah, I think I've seen enough at this point from the day I went on Friday and then just over social media over the course of the past week that I think with Keon Coleman, I'm pretty confident in what he's going to be as a red zone player and what he's going to be as a touchdown maker down the sideline, on the boundary, maybe be a little bit of a deep threat. I think I'm pretty much sold with that ability. But again, going back to what I was talking about with Mookie and you on Friday was just the fact that I think he needs to know. The only thing I worry about Keon in his development in this league is he's going to have to be able to get open underneath and scare defenses, because if you can, as a corner, if you're only beating guys deep, and again, the red zone's a different beast, I think he can always kind of have success in the red zone because of his frame and size and physicality. But you're looking at, from the 20-yard line to the 20-yard line, a lot of the majority of the field, I think it's just important for him to really show more of a separation. And I think not Diggs. I'm bringing up Diggs. Allen did like Diggs because, like you said, a tactician, great release, nuance in his route running, just very superior. Could separate at every level of the defense, no questions asked. Josh knew the second he, dropped back out to his third step in his drop that Stefon Diggs was going to be open if he was the first read. So I think with Keon, it's just going to be becoming more consistent and getting separation, getting open underneath, and I think that will be seen, more in the regular season. I think at this point, you want to use, Joe Brady wants to put these players at their strength, and I think he's done a great job of that. You're seeing it with Coleman every day. So I do have high expectations for Coleman as a red zone player and a boundary guy. But I hope that, you saw Gabe Davis, who was kind of the same player in terms of, physical, tall, but he was very inconsistent. And it felt like Davis never really refined getting separation and the consistent hands and all that stuff. So if Keon can do that and really refine his hands, and he's got great hands already, but refine his route running and ability to get open underneath, I think he can really become a complete player in this league.
And another receiver that shined today, as the Bills have posted his best catch of training camp thus far, Curtis Samuel going up top, making a full extension behind him. I don't know if I'm doing it justice here, but what a catch from Samuel today during one-on-one drills. Another impressive practice from him. Went up to make that catch and then caught a number of balls all over the field. It's going to be exciting to see how they're going to use Samuel this year once the preseason games begin. We've seen a taste of it during the offseason training program and training camp, but getting out there against an opposing team, I can't wait to see what this guy has to offer. His skill set is so versatile, and I can't remember who said it the other day. I think it was Khalil Shakir. He just said, get the ball in his hands and good things happen, and that is exactly what is happening throughout training camp. Wherever he catches the ball, in whatever situation, he's turning it into good yardage and becoming a reliable target for Josh Allen, who I think is having probably his best training camp. I just saw the Shout podcast tweet out. That's kind of their topic of conversation. I think absolutely Josh Allen having his best training camp, and a lot to do with it is Keon Coleman's emergence, Curtis Samuel's ability to be a versatile target. Mac Hollins has been reliable. Dalton Kincaid has been as advertised. Dawson Knox showing resurgence. And then you have guys like Tyrell Shavers, and a former undrafted free agent working his way into this conversation. He worked with the ones yesterday after Chase Claypool went down, continued to work with the ones today, and really looked good. He had a great catch, a full extension near the sideline after he beat Dorian Williams in coverage. He has that pass catching ability that he's exhibited all off season, and we know he's also a special teams contributor. And I think that gives him a leg up in the race to make this roster. And with Chase Claypool coming on strong during the offseason training program, sustaining that injury, now taking a step back, he's day-to-day with a toe. Time is now for Shavers to shine, and he's doing just that.
Yeah, I got a trivia question. Who was the last undrafted free agent wide receiver from Alabama that Josh Allen's worked with?
Foster?
Yep, Robert Foster. I looked it up today because when I saw Shavers going off.
Come on, you're just going to gloss over the fact that unprepared, I was able to come up with that. I'm not like usually good at that stuff.
Well, you were good at that, so okay, I'll give you your flowers.
Thank you.
But yeah, so yeah, I saw that, and so I almost lost my laptop there.
Oh God,
my beautiful Chromebook.
The old Chromebook.
Yeah, so I just think it's an interesting, it's not related at all, but I think it's cool that Robert Foster, a guy in 2018 who not many people really thought of as anything, made a name for himself. He spent 4 years at Alabama. Now Shavers kind of traveled around more, but his first 2 seasons were at Alabama at the college level. And he's really just come on. Sean McDermott, again, had high praise for him today, just talking about his ability as a pass catcher. So I like what I've seen from Shavers. And on Curtis Samuel, I just think he's going to be a fun chess piece for this Bills offense to really utilize Joe Brady. We've said that all along. You could see some fear on some defenses' face if you have Allen and Samuel, even like in a rollout situation, Samuel's on the boundary. Who are you going to take? You want Allen one-on-one or Samuel one-on-one? You could put some defenses in some tricky positions there. So I think with this offense, you're just seeing, and I put it out yesterday, you're just seeing exactly what they said they were going to do. And that's winning at every level. I'm not going to lie, I would like to see like a dominant defensive day. And I know there were some players that we'll get to later that dominated defensively today. But I would like to see a whole, all 11 players on the field really put it together, dominate, and just for the defense is good day, because I think the offense so far has been getting the best of the defense, although there's still been some, great plays by the defense.
Yeah. Quentin Morris also had a nice day. I talked about how Zach Davidson might be making a push for that tight end 3 job, but Morris really responded today with a number of nice catches. Khalil Shakir also, you haven't heard a lot from him because I don't think he's really the highlight reel playmaker that you're going to see during training camp, going up during one-on-ones and physically ripping the ball away from defenders. But the consistency that he's exhibiting day in and day out, another positive for this passing game. Brian Thompson, another play today. And the running game did pretty well. I already mentioned Darrington Evans, a 70-yard touchdown, and Ray Davis also showing some ability with Ty Johnson out. But I think that's about it for the offense. But before we move on to the defense, let's touch on that topic. Josh Allen's best training camp, I think, at least since perhaps 2019. He is just clicking on all cylinders. And what's most impressive about his performance, he's fitting balls into tight windows time and again to multiple different receivers. He's not just throwing to open wide receivers over the middle or on stick routes or in the red zone for touchdowns. No, he is fitting it into tight windows, over the middle, down the seam, down the sideline, and using all the weapons at his disposal. It's been so impressive to watch him dialed in since the start of training camp. I know you've only been here one day, but you got to see him really have a big day on that day. What did you see from him on day 3? And do you agree that this could be his best training camp of his career?
Yeah, so unfortunately, I was at the practice where he threw 3 interceptions and 4 plays. So, again, that was more, I think, the defense was really sound in coverage. There was a little pass interference in the one play. But, yeah, I think from what I saw from Josh, the start of the day, he was on fire.
Right.
He was doing individual work on the side, throwing it into the net perfectly. So accuracy is there. But I think the biggest question, back on the topic of the receivers and what he's done in fitting it into tight windows, I think the question with some people that doubted the Bills' offense this year and what they're going to be is in years past they've had separators that Josh has really had success with: Cole Beasley, John Brown, Stephon Diggs.
Right.
So all these guys that are consistently getting separation, and he's had guys like Gabe Davis, who, although they've had their success, he's not a great separator, and I think they've had some trouble at times with either communication or being on the same page. So I think that's where you're like, well, is Allen truly a guy that can thread the needle in these tight coverage situations, or does he really need to rely on these players to get separation? And I think they have a great combination this year of both. I think Shakir, Samuel, Kincaid, very shifty. And then you probably go Matt Collins, Keon Coleman, and Dawson Knox, more of that go-get-it guy. And then MVS is just kind of like the straight speed. I don't really think he separates that great, but if he can get in like a straight line speed and really put his foot on the gas, I think there's some potential for him. So,
haven't heard a word from Marquez Valdez-Scantling all throughout training camp. I'm not sure he's been written in my notebook once.
Yeah, so he's been a quieter player, but overall, I mean, yeah, what I've seen from Josh, what I've read from Josh, there haven't really been many like tweets or things I've read, articles, radio, podcasts, anything that have really had anything bad to say about him. Again, I think he's locked in, he's focused. He has something to prove this year. That's got to be on his mind without Stephon Diggs. So he's been working after practice with his receivers and his playmakers, and in the offseason they work together a lot. So I'm just excited to see what this can do. Can this, translate to the first week of the regular season against the Cardinals, where you're putting out basically a whole new offensive playmaking unit besides James Cook and include Shakir and Dalton Kincaid. So you're really looking at a fresh start with Joe Brady, and so far it's seeming to work against the Bills defense that is, again, yet to really put together a dominant day.
And before we go a bit deeper, let's hear a word from Forefather. At Forefathers Organics, their mission is to liberate, educate, and innovate with the highest quality CBD and hemp-derived products for your mind, body, and soul so you can live happy and free. Visit them at 87 Franklin Street in Dansville, online at forefathersorganics.com, or call them at 585-335-2223 to learn more about the products they offer. All right, AJ, moving to the defensive side of the ball, it was a big day for the Bills pass rush on the first day of pads, and Greg Rousseau leading the way as he has all throughout training camp. Day after day, he's just shining off the edge, setting the stage for a breakout season. Today, Spencer Brown, the victim of Rousseau's great performance. During one-on-ones, Rousseau beat Brown a couple of times, and then again during team drills, Rousseau beat Brown for a would-be sack, and on the very next play after that would-be sack, Brown went and was called for a false start. So maybe hearing some footsteps from Rousseau along the outside and getting into his head a little bit, it's been impressive. He's been like a tornado off the outside. He used a great swim move today during one-on-ones. I think it's going to be a really big season for Rousseau, and we've talked about it time and again. Bills need it from him desperately, losing Leonard Floyd, and with him, A.J. Epineza and Von Miller as the top three pass rushers for this team. Somebody has to emerge as the alpha in that room, and I think Rousseau is going to be the one with that breakout season.
Yeah, it's great. Ed Oliver spoke post-practice about Rousseau and what he's really come into this year and how just the growth he's seen from him. And every year it feels like he's got something else figured out, or something more to his pass rushing repertoire figured out. So you look at a guy like Rousseau, again, a former first-round pick. I think last year a down year, had some injury concerns, and hopefully he can stay clean this year and not, feel any injuries. So again, I'm looking forward to what Rousseau can do. It's good to see. I think Spencer Brown, maybe, we're talking about Rousseau's dominance. Maybe Spencer Brown's struggling a little bit. I feel like there's been a lot of talk about him getting beat during camp. Now, again, it maybe just
a lot of it has come against Rousseau, though. So it's
right.
Just it might be a matter of just, as I think you were about to say, just Rousseau dominating.
Right. So again, Rousseau needs a big season, and I'm looking forward to see what he can do. I mean, he has all the athletic attributes, just like Rousseau Douglas said about Kaiir Elam. Like, what have you seen from him? And he kind of just went along and said he can do everything. He can run, he can cover, he can tackle. He just needs to become more of a consistent player. And Rousseau Douglas also said that Elam was a guy that struggles sometimes when he makes a mistake of getting over that and pushing it to the side and moving on. So he wants to see a little bit of growth from Elam, but I think same thing with Rousseau. I just want him to stack these days up. He has all the potential, all the tools in the bag to really, and can he finish, when he gets those pressures?
Elsewhere within the Bills pass rush, rookie edge rusher Javon Solomon, player Tylen Grable, who has not looked that great during training camp and the offseason training program. But rushing the passer, he has not looked very good defending against the run. And today, with the pads coming on, he got swallowed up with that undersized frame. I'm not sure if he'll ever develop into a steady run defender, but good to see some pass rushing ability. Jonathan came away with the sack, again working against Grable, so Grable's really been kind of a turnstile roster. Last year might be a taller task for him to make the team this year, knowing Dwayne Smoot and what he's put on display throughout the offseason training program and training camp. So good to see John back in this competition. As I said, the Bills' defense without several starters, Edwards, Milano, Johnson, without Miller, and without Milano in the middle, very encouraging.
I'd like to see the depth step up. And John Robert in the comments here. I also read Smoot is actually stepping it up. This is when they brought him in. They gave him obviously a little bit more money than they have Shaq in years past. I think he's had more NFL production. I think he's proven it more. I think regarding Smoot have been all positive, gamer, baller, can get it done, and is really consistent. So props to Brandon Bean for getting Alex Smoot. Hopefully he can contribute coming off. He's undersized, so struggling in the run. First day of pads, coming out of Troy. I mean, that's a whole new atmosphere, a whole new kind of level of football. And you just want to see him continue to stack days. I think, Alex, we can both agree that the pass rushing there for Solomon's been, I saw him winter up as well when I went. So I think the pass rushing has been there against the second and third team that he's been. Where his spot lies in the roster as of yet, I know we had him on our original 53-man, but Smoot, Solomon, all battling in the mix for that DN4 spot. Kingsley Jonathan in there, Casey Toolhill. I don't know, not much said about him, throughout camp. So I'm just looking forward to seeing that kind of matchup play out. And that was obviously one of the ones that I was looking forward to, DN4, throughout training camp. So we'll see what happens.
On the other side of the ball in the trenches, we talked about it with Joe yesterday, host of Locked On Bills. Fumbled snaps are starting to become a common theme at Bills training camp, and obviously Connor McGovern, the new center with Mitch Morse being released and heading to Jacksonville. McGovern saying it's his natural position, but it's been a learning process for him and Allen to kind of get comfortable with their shotgun snaps. And today, Allen went under center, and another snap ended up on the ground. By my count, that's about the fourth that's ended up on the ground throughout training camp. There's also been a number of shotgun snaps that have come in close to below the knee for Allen that he's had to bend down for and almost scoop off the turf. So a bit of a concern building here with Connor McGovern. He's been good in protection, but obviously a key skill that the center has to master is getting that ball to the quarterback, and that's been a bit of a struggle and a challenge for McGovern thus far.
Yeah, I go back to when Mitch Morse came in back in 2019, Allen's second season. And I think there was also some kinks they had to work out. And I know Morse has been doing it longer. He was just coming off snapping for Patrick Mahomes. And I think with just McGovern, if it's happening in the regular season, week one, and there's a fumble or a bad snap, or you see it in the preseason and it's consistently happening, my concern will raise. I just think right now, a guy that hasn't played the center position ever in the NFL, you got to work out with Allen. I think Allen also has had trouble in the past. You would go back to the Minnesota game or the botch snap at the goal line. So there's always been, some moments that pop in my head with the center quarterback exchange with Allen here. But I'm not too worried about it yet. But obviously, worthy of noting that almost every day here at camp, there has been a a debacle or a missed exchange between the quarterback and the center. Probably not the simplest, but the most important thing, because that's how the play starts, and that's how you can get the ball in your playmaker's hands. So it's obviously a very important task. So we'll see what happens with that. Again, I'm not too concerned until if it's happening in a couple of weeks when they've gotten more reps in and they've really been able to really install this Joe Brady offense. If that's still occurring, then I think it'll really become a talking point moving forward.
You mentioned Joe Brady. That's going to be my last takeaway from today's practice. A lot has been said about the energy and juice, which Bobby Babich loves those buzzwords, preaching to his players as they're running onto the field each day for practice. A lot has been said about the energy and juice brought forth by both Babich and Joe Brady to this team since being inserted as offensive defensive coordinator. But another element that they've really exuded is just raw confidence. And I think that's really bled over to the rest of the roster. You see Allen is confident as ever out there throwing the football. The receivers, especially Coleman, Kincaid, really showing great confidence catching those passes from Allen. And then on defense, Greg Rousseau really stepping up and seeming to come into his own, among others, Kaiir Elam. So I think the confidence that these two guys show, these young coordinators, up and coming in their roles, I think it's really starting to spread like wildfire throughout this roster. And I think it's exactly what the Bills needed after years of Leslie Frazier, years of Ken Dorsey, kind of more tepid personalities. With this young team and this team in transition, needing new leadership, some of that is coming from Brady and Babich, and it's really, like I said, just spreading throughout the roster.
Yeah, and I think it's good for McDermott to kind of let both those guys, and again, Brady's had a little bit of experience as an offensive coordinator, and obviously his success at LSU speaks of itself. But Babich, a guy that never really has called plays before, kind of handing over the reins to Babich on day one at camp. You can call the plays. I'm really looking forward to seeing these guys continue to inject that energy, their knowledge. Many players on the Bills defense this offseason have said Bobby Babich is the smartest coach they've ever had. People on the Bills offense have said Joe Brady's done everything we've asked for, and that he's a guy that really allows us to be who we are. So I think both sides of the ball, they want these guys to be who they are, and I think that's just really important for a team, like you said, under transition and a really up and coming unit. It's very important.
Another great day here at St. John Fisher University. It was hot as ever. There's been a couple of hot days here. I need to make sure I get my fluids after this. I might have to take an IV. I'm really starting to wear down as the days go. But like I said before training camp, the tan is developing, AJ, and getting my steps in each day, cruising around the sidelines. It's been a great experience, as always, here at training camp.
Yeah, it's always a fun time. Again, everything really you could ask for. A lot of people would love to, cover Bills football and do all that stuff. So again, it's something that, when you get the opportunity to do it, do the best job you can. Alex has done a great job at the Batavia Daily. His takeaways every day. So just overall, just a really good, a good week for Bills football. And I'm glad it's back.
So am I, AJ, and can't wait for the first preseason game. We are closing in August 10th at Highmark Stadium. The return of the blue and red this Friday. You'll be there in the stands, I believe, and then you'll be making your return to training camp soon as well. So excited to see what you have to offer as you continue your first year on the beat as well. And a lot to come from the Batavia Daily News and the Right Here, Right Now podcast. Right here, right now. So, AJ, any final words before we hear from our sponsor, Forefathers Organics?
Yeah, please like, share, subscribe, rate, review. Alex has been doing a good job sending out clips of the show on Twitter, so make sure to stay tuned for those. I'll share some as well. So there's a lot going on with the pod. We'll continue to keep you informed, up to date as fast as we can, as accurate as we can, and just continue to keep rolling here. Again, please like, share, subscribe. We're really pumping these out every day, making it a high priority on the list of things we have to do amongst the many lists of things we have to do here at Batavia Daily. So
still got to put the paper together today, AJ.
Right. So just continue to stay informed, and we'll try and be as accurate and quick as possible. And I thank everybody for tuning in.
All right, that's going to do it. As AJ said, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Peace out.
I forgot, AJ. We have to hear from Forefathers Organics.
Unlock the power of nature with Forefathers Organics, your premium CBD store. We offer the highest quality CBD and hemp products to liberate your mind, body, and soul, helping you live happy and free. Our mission is driven by excellence and transparency, using cutting-edge scientific methods to combat stress and target issues at their source. From potent ingestible CBD to soothing topicals, all our products are USDA certified organic. Discover all natural wellness from farm to table. Visit forefathersorganics.com for more information.
Shame on me, AJ. You can't forget Forefathers. So now we'll see you next time.
Peace out.